If you're here, you're ready to take your company to the next level and you'd like to create a Delaware corporation, either because you've heard that most venture capitalists require this, or you want to do it now, get it out of the way so that you can focus on building your company. Either way, you've come to the right place. In this video, we're going to create an actual new Delaware corporation that doesn't exist yet. We're going to go step by step from beginning to end so that there is no ambiguity in the process for you. My job here is to make sure that you leave here confident on the information you get for how to register your Delaware corporation. Are you ready? You set? Let's get started. My name is Maranatha Kure and I'm a Massachusetts licensed attorney. Now, nothing in this video is legal advice. My job and my purpose in making these videos is to give you as much free information as you can get. The reason is most people just cannot afford lawyers. And so you end up doing stuff and making a lot of mistakes on your way to building your company. A lot of these mistakes can be rectified later on, but some of them can get very, very costly. So my job is to give you as much free information as possible, standardize the information for you, so that all you need to do is follow step by step if you want to. Now again, this is not legal advice. In this video, we're going to create a corporation called Kure Genesis, Inc. At Kure Counsel, the law firm where I work, we are building a lot of tech products. We're building a lot of software. And so we need another corporation that will house this instead of the professional corporation. Now, to get started, we're going to start with the certificate of incorporation. This is the document that Delaware requires for you to file with them to create your entity itself. And it's a good place to start in summary. So let's come down here. I'm going to put a link in the description where you can go directly and download the template that we have created. And so I should have it here on my screen. Good, here. So let's download that. Perfect. Come in here. Let's open it. This is what it looks like. Now you can see here that it's a pretty standardized template and it has a lot of terms here that I'll get to later on. But let's start at the very top with the company name. So the company name we want is Kure Genesis, Inc. So I'm just going to select this. All right, and I'm going to put the name here, Kure Genesis, Inc. The Inc has a period at the end here, right? So let's do that. Let's company name Kure Genesis, Inc. Let's replace all. Okay, then that's the name. Now, to make sure that this name is available with the state of Delaware, meaning that no one else has registered this specific name, we'll have to actually go to the Delaware website. And Delaware has two websites that you can use to make the search, but there's one that you should use to make the search. The first one is the name search website. And this website is used by most people, most entities to just search the name of other companies that are registered in Delaware. So for instance, if we wanted to search, I think Facebook has now turned to Meta, right? You could do that here and put it in. You see a bunch of different company names with the name Meta. And there's Meta4 Inc., Meta4 LLC, different companies. All right, so this isn't what we want to use. The reason is this website, although it gives you the names that already exist, it doesn't tell you whether the name you want can be registered. So we don't want to use this one. We'll go back here. And let's go to the name reservation website instead. Now, I'm going to put a link to all of these in my description in case you want to, so that you have a direct link to them. Let's go to name reservation website here. And perfect. This is what it looks like. It looks slightly different from the other one, if you remember. So here we'll select this. I have read and understand the disclaimer. Entity kind, will put corporation. Entity ending, it's Inc. we want. So I'm going to put Inc. here. And they have a bunch of other options if you want any of these. There's limited, there's institute, incorporated, fund, foundation, corporation, co-company, anything you want here. So you can select any one from these ones and you'll be okay. Entity name, we'll put Kure Genesis Inc. Just Kure Genesis, because we've already put the Inc. here. And if you read down here, it says, please do not enter the entity ending in the above box. Look over it, make sure everything looks good so far. Looks good. And then I'll come here and put Delaware's anti-crawler code. And then put that in there and search. Great. So here we see that the name Kure Genesis Inc. is available. So we're perfect. If you want to, you can reserve this for $75. You just put yes. But if you don't want to, you can just, since you know this is available and you're going to be registering this today, right now, then you don't need to reserve this for $75. If you do reserve it, it's going to be reserved for 120 days. So between now and 120 days, you can come back and file the articles of incorporation. But if after 120 days you haven't been able to do this, you can just pay another $75 and reserve it again. So we don't need to perform a new search, so we'll just X this here and come back to our paperwork here. Let's enlarge this a bit, and I'm going to remove the extra period there. And then let's come down here to the next step here. So the next step says that the registered office of the corporation in the state of Delaware shall be. The state of Delaware requires that every company have a registered agent in the state itself. The reason is, if for any reason they need to serve you any kind of papers, whether litigation papers or any other kind of papers from the Secretary of State, they'll need somebody within the state itself that they can reach out to. And if you have somebody in Delaware that you know, or you yourself are in Delaware and your company will be operating from Delaware, then you don't need to get a third party. You can just put your name here and your address here. But if you don't, Delaware has a long list of agents that it has authorized. I should have a link in the description as well, but let me just use this as a shortcut. The link that they have should be here. And if you come here and you scroll down, you'll see there's just a bunch of them with different names. And the costs differ as well. Some of them are as low as $40. Some of them go up to $120, $150. Depends on the amount of services that you need. So let's come back here. Now there's a registered agent that I typically use and that I like. So that's the one I'm going to use in this case as well. And that one is called Harvard Business Services, Inc. And so I'm just going to go to their website here, and this is what it looks like. So this is who I'm going to use. Now I have their name and address already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the registered agent's address. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to copy this here. Registered agent's address. I'm going to replace that with the address here. And the complete address, including the zip code, is very important. If not, Delaware will reject this and then you have to fix it and send it back to them. So let's just put replace all in this case, even if it's just one. And then the name of the registered agent is Harvard Business Services, Inc. So let's put that here, Harvard Business Services, Inc. And so replace all as well. All right, so we have our registered agent here, and then we have their name here, and we have the address here. So far, this looks good. So let's scroll down here and let's take a look at the shares here. Now, for most startups, we're going to authorize 10 million shares. The reason is a bunch of these shares, some of it is going to go to you and your founder, your first co-founder. And typically this would be between, let's say, half to about 60% of the shares. So about 6 million shares will go to you and your co-founders. Now the rest of the 4 million or so shares will be reserved for future stock option plans or stock award plans. And the reason is you don't want to have to go back to the state of Delaware to file another article of incorporation to amend the old one in order to be able to issue the additional shares. So every time you want to issue shares that's more than what you put in the certificate, you're going to have to go back to the state and amend it. Don't forget, your corporation is a state entity. It's a state vehicle. So any material thing you do has to either be in accordance with state law, or you have to file a new article of incorporation to amend the old one that you have. So if you scroll down, you see that we have a bunch of other items here that we added. The reason we've added all these is just part of it is out of experience, that a lot of these make it easier for you to manage the affairs of your corporation starting out. So a lot of these give powers to the directors that would otherwise be with the shareholders of the company. And the more shareholders you have, the more difficult it is to make things happen quickly. So that's what a lot of these do. I'm going to create a separate video that goes through each of this. So if you're interested in that, please watch that and then come back to this one. But it's going to break down each individual one and tell you why we included it. If you search other templates online, many of them are shorter than this. And some of those are good to use as well. Without seeing them, I can't say. But some of those are good to use. I think the one on Delaware's own website is also shorter than this. So you can use that as well. But this is the one we have, and this is the one we're using. So we'll just scroll down here. And here it says the name of the sole incorporator. The sole incorporator in this case is the person who is actually incorporating the company, who is filing the articles of incorporation. And this can be anybody. It can even be somebody that you don't know or doesn't know you. All you need is someone who's going to put in their name here and tell the state they're trying to form a corporation. Afterwards, they're going to hand all power back to you, to the founders, and to the board. So that's not a problem. But here, I'm the one doing this, so I'm going to remove this founder one and put in my name there. And then I'm going to change this and put in my address. This is Kure Counsel's address, so there will be no problem broadcasting it here. It's in Boston Street. Unit 500. And this will be in Boston. Boston, Massachusetts, MA02116. And then the remainder of this page intentionally left blank. So you could actually delete this if you wanted to, because the state of Delaware is going to charge you per page when you file this. So if you wanted to, you could take this out. And then now the question we ask is, why was that there in the first place? It's there because in some cases, if there's more than one person signing this, so if there's more than one incorporator, now don't forget, even if you have two founders, one person can do this. It's quicker and faster that way. And it's not going to affect your rights later on, because after this, the incorporator is going to hand all powers back to the corporation, specifically back to the board of directors. And then the board itself is going to be selected from your shareholders. So once you're issuing shares to your, actually before you issue shares to the shareholders, to your co-founders, you're going to create the board. And in that board, you're going to include most likely all the co-founders. So having one person do this is not an issue. We'll come back to here, and it says the certificate has been, so I was saying the reason why that was there was because in a case where 12 of you are doing this, then you can have separate signature pages, and one person can sign their page, another person signs their page, and then you merge them together. That's why they do that. But in this case, it's just me doing this, and typically you would want to have one incorporator to make things easy. So we're gonna remove that part and just leave this there. So I'm gonna put today's date here, which is April 27th, 2024. And then to make this a little pretty, I'm gonna underline this still. And founder one, my name goes here again, Maranatha Kure. And I'm gonna leave this as sole incorporator. Now, after having done this, I'm gonna come back here, look at everything, looks good, and save it. And then I'm gonna save this as a PDF, because when we're filing, it's gonna be in PDF format. And remove the template here. Certificate of Incorporation, Kure Genesis, and save as a PDF. Let's take a look at our PDF. Perfect. So far, so good. All right. So we're gonna X this, and all right. So before we do anything else, we also need to come here and pay these guys to be our registered agent. And so we'll come to their website here and we will appoint registered agents. So let's click on that. And then we'll come down to appoint us as your registered agent. And then put in your information here as well. So let's do that. Maranatha. Okay. And the company name, will put it exactly as it's supposed to appear. Now it says corporations must include Inc. So we're putting in the full name here. So we'll put Kure Genesis Inc. Save and continue. Then here again, it's asking for contact information for communications. It can be the same address as you put before. So I'll go ahead and do that here as well. So I put in both addresses that I have, and then it brings me here. So here you could decide, they're asking if you would like to take their deal here of $239 and they'll register the company for you. If you want to, you could decide to take this. But we started this, so let's take it all the way to the end. And so we're just gonna say no thanks. We're gonna do this ourselves. Save and continue. Next, we come here. You could choose to do any of this. So it's $50 a year. If you're doing 3 years and you're paying $50 each year, it's gonna come up to about 150 bucks. But if you pay them one time, it's gonna be 125 bucks. So if you have the money, then I recommend that you do this. But if not, then let's just select the 50-year one-time guaranteed low price and let's keep going. And so they're gonna ask you how you wanna pay. So I did pay for this before. So I've put all my information there and I'm gonna put place order. Perfect. So now it says I've paid for this and it gives me an order number. I'm gonna screenshot this just in case this happens again. I think the system had a problem the last time. These guys are really good. I mean, I've used them for some very important clients and we've had no problems. But this one time, the last time I did this, yeah, they needed this number to confirm they had paid for it already. So Kure Genesis Inc. Perfect. This is the number. Perfect. And then now we go back and we file our certificate. So let's come back here and then we can X this, or let's open the PDF version and see what that looks like. All right, looks good. So far, so good. Now I need to sign this. And so, okay, so let's come back here in case you didn't sign it either. And there's a very simple way you can sign this. So the state of Delaware actually allows you to simply use this notation here and you are good to go. So that's what I'm gonna do here. I'm just gonna put the S sign there between two slashes and then put my name there and I'm good. So let's save this again. And let's put Kure Genesis Inc. And then let me put V1 so that I remember the difference in the PDFs. And let's export this. So our V1 is here. Let's open it. Perfect. So let's scroll down. Everything still looks good. And two slashes, Maranatha Kure Soul Incorporator. My date is there. It looks perfect. All right, so let's X this. This is ready to file. All right, so to file this, we need to go to the Delaware website, and you could either come through here and do this here, services, document filing and certificate request service. You could click here. And I'll also have a link in the description if you want to go directly from there. For that one, you'll have to, oh yeah, there's something I forgot to mention. So by the way, the 10 million shares that we issued, the yearly franchise tax, which is a tax that Delaware charges every year, can be up to $400 a year. Now it differs according to the amount of shares that you have issued. It differs according to the amount of shares that you've issued and other circumstances as well. So the best way to be certain as to how much you will need to pay per year is to use their franchise tax calculator, right? And that's over here. So you come here, you can use this to calculate how much franchise tax that you will need to pay every March 1st. Now, this other calculator here is to help you calculate how much you will need to pay to file this in the first place. Now, my estimate for this is about $159. $50 goes to the registered agent. $109 goes to the to Delaware itself, but Delaware may charge an extra charge if so $9 for every extra page it charges, and in addition to that, it charges if you need expedited service, which we'll get to later. So this can help you also calculate how much you will need to pay to file. The proper file here is this one, stock with par value. So if you click this and it downloads, you can open this here. And when this shows up, it says enter number of shares. The number of shares we're entering is 10 million, right? 10, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And the par value we are putting there is 0.00101. And so after you put these in, it's going to tell you, okay, the total capital that you're putting into the company is $1,000. And so the total amount due, so if capital equals $75,000 or less than 2 million, all of that good stuff. So the amount of capital is $1,000. That's what you're going to pay in. And that's the total value of the shares that you have created here. The filing fee tax is $15. The total due is $109. So this is how much you're going to need to pay them, $109. So let's go ahead and cancel this. And by the way, if you're confused as to how much you may end up paying, what you can do is call this number here. And once you call them, there's usually a human at the end at some point. Sometimes it takes once or twice for you to call them before they pick up, rather twice or 3 times for you to call them before they pick up. But usually you'll get somebody at the end of the day that can answer questions, which is good, right? So and they're usually very polite as well. So let's X this and delete. Now, the reason why we selected this with par value is because our certificate actually says there's par value. Par value just says price per share. So our certificate says that you're issuing 10,000 shares and you've put the par value there. That's why we're selecting this stock with par value. You can also select stock with no par value if you want to. And that comes with a flat fee. I don't typically use this one. So you'll be able to find more information online about this. But I don't tend to use this one because the par value just makes things easier. Plus, in the future, when you're issuing shares to investors and to others, you'll need par value. So I'll just leave it as is with par value. Okay, so let's move forward from that. So we come down here to file this. It says document filing and certificate request information. And we scroll down here to submit a business entity filing or certificate request, click here. So click there.